I can remember feeling extremely anxious about what was about to happen.
In a handwritten note to Colthurst, Diana declared the conspirators were preparing for the volcano to erupt.
I don't think any of the conspirators really fully understood how many megatons this explosion was going to be.
But there was no turning back. The presses started to roll, and Diana's story was about to rock the nation.
Coming up later, intimate, unguarded.
No, I'm just knackered, right?
Secret videotapes of the princess at the palace.
Princess Diana and her cohorts knew there was no turning back. A deal had been made with a prominent London newspaper, the Sunday Times, to serialize Morton's book. For months, they lived nervously with their secret, bracing for, well, they didn't know what to expect, but it was going to be big. Sunday, June 7th, 1992. London awoke to a drab, overcast morning and explosive news. The inflammatory words so closely guarded for nearly a year were now headlines.
I got no support from Charles, and the bulimia was appalling. I was trying to cut my wrist with razor blades.
People couldn't believe what they were seeing in print. The royal reporters were walking around in circles, not knowing what to do.
I thought that was the most monstrous headline, and totally untrue.
Caught completely off guard, the palace was stunned.
I think the Queen was furious. There's not a family on earth, I think, that would want to see their marital troubles broadcast all over the world, let alone the royal family.
From day one, the four conspirators had vowed to hide that Diana was the source of the shocking material. Andrew Morton promised to take the secret to his grave. It looked as though they'd pulled it off. Even close friends of the princess, like Rosa Monckton, were in the dark.
Had she said anything to me, I'd have been absolutely livid with her. I considered it a complete betrayal, really, of her family and of her friends.
For the creators of the controversy, the response was beyond anything they could have imagined.
We were thinking atom bomb, and it was actually like several hydrogen bombs.
They were all desperately unhappy that somebody's come along and destroyed the fairy tale.
A journalist, Morton now found himself on the other side of a media frenzy. He had to weather criticism of his book while denying the one thing that would have made him credible, Diana's involvement.
I didn't interview the Princess of Wales for this book. Have you ever spoken to the Princess of Wales at all? I've spoken to her at the usual press receptions, but not in connection with this book. She hasn't read the manuscript.
Which, of course, was not true.
I would have loved, from day one, to have said, look, folks, Diana's wanted this book out, Diana wanted this book published. No, I couldn't say that.
Still, Diana was suspect from the start. Former palace spokesman Dickie Arbiter.
And I asked her, had she helped him? And hand on heart, she said, no, I don't know anything about it. And I knew she had, but you can hardly turn around to a member of the royal family and say that you're lying.
Diana stuck to her story. Pressure was also mounting for the friends of Diana who had openly contributed to the Morton book. Many, like former flatmate Carolyn Bartholomew, were being criticized for betraying Diana. But 4 days after the book was serialized, Diana sent out a meaningful signal to show that Carolyn had her blessing. It started with an anonymous phone call tipping off photographer Ken Lennox that the princess would be leaving her friend's house that morning.
Diana came out of Caroline's house, looked to see where I was, spoke to him for a few minutes, walked down the path, got into the car, and drove past me, looking at me all the way.
And it was a clear signal that I've got a story to tell, and I'm telling it, and a number of people have cooperated.
For some who had observed Diana through the years,